This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone. I want to talk to you today about a very important topic, especially when people start to come and see you from your Social Security workshop. A lot of the people that come in really just want you to provide Social Security advice. When to take it, you may have had some interest as it relates to the Roth conversions and things like that. And so in order for us to do our job, we always ask that the client bring all of their financial statements, because how can we actually tell them or guide them on when and how to take Social Security if we don't understand the rest of the financial picture? And especially on Roth conversions, we need to understand how much they have in qualified accounts, things like that. And so in many cases, the client coming in will already have an existing relationship with a financial advisor. And like many of us, right? When I was younger, I used to jump across the table and tell the client everything that they were doing was wrong. And that variable annuity was wrong. And the stock market's going to crash. And that didn't work out so well for me. And so I've learned to displace the other advisor without picking on the other advisor, without telling the client that everything they own is wrong, and without scaring them into think that the stock market's going to crash or variable annuities are bad or this or that. And so what I want to help you understand is really how to walk through that. It's added a tremendous amount of value in my meetings. Number one, it's also qualified the client. And I do this in a first meeting so that the client gets an idea of who we are, what we're doing, what we're after, and how we might be able to help them. And at the end of it, if they don't want that, look, then you don't have to go out there and do all this work. You don't have to build their financial plan, their income plan, their Social Security plan, their Roth conversion plan, right? And get paid nothing. I mean, I used to pride myself on the fact that 70 to 90% of the room in a workshop would take a meeting with me. But I'll be honest, I don't want that anymore. I want 20 to 30% of the room to take a meeting, because those are the people that are serious, right? Now, obviously, by qualifying the client and helping them understand what we do in a first meeting, we can flip a few more of those over. Matter of fact, I just had it happen a couple of weeks ago. A couple walked in from Wells Fargo. They came to my workshop a couple of years ago, and they loved their advice. And so she wanted to know when to take Social Security. I said, okay, no problem. Let me take a look at your statements. And so as I'm browsing through the statements, I stand up and I go to the whiteboard. And I said, you know what, guys? I just want to take a look at this with you, because here's what I'm seeing, Mr. and Mrs. Client. You have a portfolio with Wells Fargo, and you pretty much own mutual funds. Here's what you own. And I just started going down the list. And as you guys know, this is probably 70% of the people that walk in, right? They're going to own large cap, mid cap, small cap, international, emerging markets. And then they're going to have bonds over here, right? If they're like a 60-40, 50-50 blend, and their bonds are going to be short-term, long-term, high yield, right? And I look at this with the client, and the client's looking at me confused, and they go, okay, well, I don't really know what that means, and we can't do this ourselves, right? And I say, you don't actually have to do this yourself. You can go to Vanguard and get a basket of mutual funds, and by the way, significantly less expensive mutual funds and ETFs at Vanguard. And if you don't know how to put this portfolio together, Vanguard will do it for 0.30% per year. That's their management fee to do this. Now, there's some value funds in here. There are some growth funds in here. There's a growth in income fund in here. Okay, that's why they ended up with like 20 different mutual funds. But you look at this, and in today's world, I asked the client, why do we pay a financial advisor? And their answer to me was, well, we need them to manage our money. And I said, you have $1 million, $1 million with Wells Fargo. And then you are paying that advisor a fee of 1.5% per year. You are paying your advisor $15,000 per year. That is more than your property taxes on your home in this wonderful state of Illinois, and that's hard to do. So the client starts thinking, and I said, look, I don't have a problem with what you own. Okay? This is diversified. Okay? These funds, this strategy is fine, but if this is what you like, stop giving up $15,000 a year. You don't need me. You don't need Wells Fargo. You can go to Vanguard and get this done for 0.30% a year. And the client just stops. And they look at me and they go, why would you tell us that? Why would you tell us to go to Vanguard? And I say, this is still not an income. How are you going to generate a paycheck off of your $1 million? I said, how are you taking money out today? And they go, well, the advisor is selling stuff and just sending us money. And I said, well, that's great when the market goes up, but how is that going to work when the market goes down? Because now you're going to be selling shares of these funds as the market is going down, which means you have less shares, which means you won't come back when the market does. Okay. This plan has worked very, very well, truthfully, over the last number of years because the market's been up. But one thing I can't predict is growth. I don't know how long the market's going to be up. So what we need to do is we need an income plan. We need to look at how we're going to generate a paycheck in retirement when the market doesn't do what we want it to do, right? And so one of the questions that I like to ask my clients is, if you have that $1 million, right? How much of that $1 million needs to generate income? It's a different answer for everybody. It's going to depend on how risky versus conservative you are, right? It's going to depend on your other assets. So a lot of clients have, obviously, Social Security is going to make up a bunch. A pension could make up some more, okay? And so when we start looking at this, right, that's why a budget is so important. So I said, all right, Mr. and Mrs. Client, you have your $1 million, you have your Social Security, you have a small pension, okay, and you have your budget. So with everything that we have done here and we figured out the numbers, right, your $1 million is going to need to generate an extra $30,000 per year to cover the income gap. How are we going to do it? How are we going to do it so that we can account for when the market doesn't go well? And now the client starts thinking. And then I start adding more. And I said, look, your $1 million that you have right here today is all in IRAs for the most part. They have a small non-qualified account. So now you need 30 grand a year, which is all going to be taxable because it's mostly IRA. Your pension is taxable. And because of the money out of the pension and the IRA, now your Social Security is going to be taxable. How would you like to learn how to make this 30 grand a year tax-free? So one of the things I want to do for you is I want to add value, right? My goal is to work with you. I'm not against what you've done. I'm not saying your financial advisor at Wells Fargo is a bad advisor, but I'm asking you, why do you pay this person $15,000 a year? You are in my office wondering when to take Social Security, how to minimize taxes on it. You don't have an income plan. You said that. Can I help you? Would you be open to getting a second opinion? I will build out your financial plan to make sure that your investment plan matches your financial plan. We're going to put some potholes in the road, risk, healthcare, inflation, taxation, so that we can see exactly what it is you need. When you leave my office at the end of the second meeting, after I build all of this out, you're going to know how much of this $1 million you're going to need to generate that 30,000. And I'm going to show you how to make it tax-free. So here's my question. My fee is not 1.5% a year. Okay? My fee is 1% per year. And you have other options that I'm going to talk about beyond that as it relates to generating that 30 grand that you don't have to pay a management fee on. So that could actually be less. So if you're open to it, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I would like to show you how we add value versus you paying $15,000 a year to your current advisor when you can do that at Vanguard for 0.30. And by the way, Vanguard's not going to give you an income plan, a Roth conversion plan, a Social Security plan. So you asked me, why would I show this to you? Because when I'm done at the end of the second meeting, you could very well stand up and say, Stephen, this is great. We don't know what to do. Fine. But at the very least, do not keep paying 15 grand a year. I will show you value in the second meeting. You're going to have answers to these questions. does that sound acceptable to you to move forward? Guys, that's how we displace the advisor professionally without picking on them and helping the client understand what they own, how to generate income, and the value that you might provide. And by the way, we didn't talk about any products here, right? Being a financial advisor isn't talking about or pushing a product. Being a financial advisor is adding value. That's all we got. Thanks, guys.